You're listening to the Play Therapy Podcast with Dr. Brenna Hicks, your source for centered and focused play therapy coaching.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brenna Hicks, the Kid Counselor. This is the Play Therapy Podcast where you get a masterclass in child-centered play therapy and practical support and application for your work with children and their families. In today's episode, I am answering a question from Anna in Virginia. Thank you so much for the email, Anna. And her question is about a specific client. He is pretty new to the process and has been saying and doing things in the playroom that she'd just like a little bit of insight and perspective on. So I will read parts of the email and we'll dive in together. But just a reminder, we are doing the live event on January 3rd at 2 p.m. Eastern. Please sign up so that we know how many are coming, and the Zoom call will max out after a certain number of registrants. So I just want to make sure that we're able to monitor how many will be there and what we need to do to adjust for numbers. So in the show notes, you can click on that link, and we're going to be talking about impact and doing some Q&A, and I'll give you a link to a workshop that I did in Australia. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Okay, so let me read parts of Anna's email and then we'll dive in. I graduated in May with my master's in mental health counseling. I have the same background, and I'm now working in a school setting. I took a play therapy class in grad school and liked it and worked with kids in an in-home setting during my practicum, but I was directive in my approaches then. I didn't think I would be working with kids again, but found myself in this opportunity. I am fully CCPT. Huge high five, Anna in Virginia. I'm so happy about that. Another convert, y'all. I need a bell. Is that crazy? I want to ring a bell when I know someone converted to CCPT. I feel like there needs to be some symbol to celebrate. Okay, anyway, I'm fully CCPT and have enjoyed getting to learn more through your podcast. My questions are about a situation that happened with a particular client. He said lots of things that caught me off guard, and while I reflected what he was doing, I know I missed opportunities to reflect feeling or content accurately. In a few of our sessions, he has brought up assumptions about me. For instance, he said, "I bet you're thinking, why is he messing all the toys up?" And other things that start with, "I bet you're thinking." I don't know how to reflect content with things that are flipped towards me. Really interesting scenario. I'm so glad you brought that up, Anna. Okay, continuing. In another situation, he saw the water tray and said, "I wish I could put water in it." And I said, "You want to put water in it?" And he asked for permission. And I would reflect that he was in charge and that was what he wanted to do, but he kept asking me. So we kept going back and forth until he decided to put water in it. We've all been there. He was playing in the water tray and some water got out. He said, "That's what I get for doing something I wasn't supposed to do." This kid, man, I'd love to watch a session of him. And so he got paper towels to clean it up. He knows that he's in charge, and I reiterated to him that he can make a mess and it's my job to clean up. He grabbed the rest of the paper towels that were there and was cleaning up the water, and then he realized that he had a large amount of paper towels, and he said, "I'm stupid, I took the rest of the paper towels." I kept tracking what he was doing, but it caught me off guard to hear that I'm stupid and that that's what I get for doing something I wasn't supposed to do. I'm wondering how to reflect feeling or content in these instances where children say negative things about themselves or things that catch you off guard. Since I'm in a school, I think it's hard for the kids to realize that my room is different than the rest of the school. Yes, absolutely. Even if I reiterate that they are in charge and they get to decide what to do. All right. Thank you, Anna. I'm excited about this. So let's start with the first piece of this. So I kind of break this down into 3 chunks of your question, if you will. So the first one, he brought up assumptions about you. So I bet you're thinking, why is he messing all the toys up? And other things that start with, I bet you're thinking. And you don't know how to reflect content with things that are flipped toward you. Okay, well, let's start with, you're not sure what to say. I'll give you a really simple process there. Oh, you're thinking. So, okay, my brain went in too many directions at once. When a child says something that is not true, and this will happen frequently, they make accusations, they make judgments, they say, you're blah, 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 or other kids or toys or whatever. So whenever they say something and it is truly what they think or believe or feel, but you do not want to confirm or deny, it's really helpful to just say, "Oh, you think." Then you're not saying that you agree. You're making it very clear. You're just acknowledging that that's what the child thinks. So in that scenario, "Oh, you think I'm upset that you're messing up all the toys." Or "You think I'm wondering why you're making a mess." And here's what that does. It reflects content. It acknowledges that you are meeting the child where they are, but you are not giving any indication whether it's true or not true. It's completely neutral. And let's now dig a little deeper here, because that was 101. Let's go to like 301. Why is the child saying, I bet you're thinking, why is he messing the toys up? Pop quiz. Shout them out to me. Oh, I love this. I really wish, I truly wish that I could be a fly on the wall when every single one of you listen to my podcast. I would love to watch and witness when I pop quiz and when I say random things, like what you shout back at me. Anyway, I envision it in my head, but I really would like to witness it firsthand. Okay, I hope that most of you said super, super high levels of anxiety and people pleasing. And if you didn't, you'll get there one day. Keep listening. All right. Because I bet you're thinking, why is he messing all the toys up? He's worried he's going to get in trouble. He's worried he's doing something he's not supposed to do. He doesn't feel the freedom to do what he actually wants to do. He's trying to make sure that you're not upset. There's a people pleasing. There's an anxiety. I mean, gosh, this little guy is racked with this. Okay. So that's the why, which is why our neutrality is so important in our response. Because if we say, oh, you're thinking that I'm wondering why you're messing the toys up, but you know you're in charge when you're in here. Now, all of a sudden, the child goes, oh, okay, well, that wasn't a big deal at all. It's freedom. It's autonomy. It's reduction of inhibitions. I think he probably is so careful everywhere, so rigidly adherent to rules and limits, high levels of anxiety, high levels of people pleasing. I'm going to argue he's an oldest. I don't know. It's just my gut. Or he's role reversed with an oldest. And he's consumed with having to be, quote, good. So, but by the fact that he's playing with things, and it's probably early on, I'm guessing, and so therefore there's still the honeymoon phase as a factor here. So now all of a sudden he's going, oh, well, I don't want her to get mad at me, and I don't want her to think that I'm making a mess. And what if I walk out of here and she goes, oh my gosh, that kid is so disrespectful. He made such a mess in here. All right. So what if? Consumption of anxiety, people pleasing. All right. So let's move to the second part. So he says, I wish that I could put water in the tray. You want to put water in it. And then he asks for permission. Okay. Permission seeking, people pleasing, anxiety. Here's another tie-in. We see it even in this next option here. So now he's moved on to the sand and he's begging for permission because God forbid he does something that he's not supposed to do. And early on, we're not going to enlarge that, but later in the process, we would absolutely enlarge that. But for now, what you said is really appropriate. Oh, you're wanting to put water in there. Now, here's the caveat, maybe. The disclaimer. If all you say is you want to put water in it, that doesn't address the fact that he says, I wish I could. If he asked you if he could put water in it, and you said you want to put water in it, that would be really appropriate. I wish I could is different. So in that scenario, we would say, oh, you'd really like to put water in there, but you know that you're in charge. Okay, so now when he says, I wish, remember, kids let us know what their needs, their desires, their wishes, their feelings are in their play. This is a desire he's expressing. I wish that I could do this. He's not asking you if you can. He's telling you that he wishes he could. Oh, you wish that you could put water in there, but you know you're in charge when you're in here. We couple that together as a hybrid because just saying you want to put water in it, that's why he goes, so can I? Am I allowed to? Well, is it okay? Is water, can I put water in here? Because I'm not really sure. There's so many questions that still linger until you say, but you know you're in charge in here. All right. So then you said, I reflected he was in charge and that was what he wanted to do. He kept asking. Okay. So he's not satisfied because you haven't been concrete enough. Anxious kids do not like ambiguity. He is needing the black and white and you're living in gray right now. That's why he continues to ask for permission. So it's really important to say, you're concerned that if you put water in there, you're not allowed to, but you're in charge when you're in here. So now we don't reflect that he wants to put water in there. We reflect that he's concerned he's going to get in trouble. See how we take it to the next level? If they're not satisfied with the reflection of content, then we go a little bit further. Oh, you're concerned that you might get in trouble, but you're in charge when you're in here. You get to decide what you do. That's kind of how we get around that. So then you went back and forth until he decided to put water in it. Okay, so that's a really important point. Now, you didn't share whether you did or not, so I don't know, Anna, how you handled that. But at that moment, I hope that you said, oh, you realized that you're in charge, so you chose to put water in there. All right, that's a really powerful declaration because you realized you're in charge. It reinforces his autonomy and freedom, and you chose to put water in there. It was a choice. So I hope that you said something along those lines there. So now he's playing with the water in the tray, and some of the water gets out. And he says, that's what I get for doing something I wasn't supposed to do. All right, this is back to the guilt and the shame and the blame, because he's anxious and he thinks that he just displeased you, or he thinks that he did something wrong, or he thinks that he's going to get in trouble. So I hope that you can see all of these are woven together here with the same thread. So when he says that, that's what I get for doing something I wasn't supposed to do. I hope to be fully adherent to CCPT. My prayer is that you said, oh, sometimes accidents happen. That is always absolute on purpose our go-to when something happens and the child is concerned that they're going to get in trouble. If it was truly an accident. Obviously, if it was purposeful and it needs a limit, that's a whole other podcast. But in this scenario, some of the water spilled out. So, some of the water spilled out, but accidents happen. All right, so that is the, hey, I'm neutral. There's no consequence. You're in charge. You didn't do it on purpose. We just accept and move on. Okay? Now, what we want to reflect in the way of content is, you're frustrated that some of the water spilled and you think that you weren't supposed to put water in there, but you chose to do that because you're in charge. So we're coming back to what we've already reflected, which was, you're in charge and you chose to do that. It was not something that he wasn't supposed to do, but we're not going to argue with his feelings. That's a very fine line. Be really careful. To be fully CCPT, we would not want to contradict or argue with what he says, even though everything in us wants to do that. You were able to do that. That's not something you weren't supposed to do. Lots of therapists would say that right there. But that's not CCPT. So, you're frustrated some of the water spilled and you think you weren't supposed to put water in there, but you chose to put water because you know you're in charge. That's CCPT. Okay. And then he gets the paper towels to clean it up because he's a highly anxious, people-pleasing, perfectionistic child. There's the thread again. And you said, I reiterated to him that he can make a mess. All right. I don't know if those were your words, but just in case they were, let me give a minor tweak. We have to be really careful that we don't say you can do anything in the playroom. You can make a mess. That's permission giving. And that puts us in a position of authority and control. And that's not the dynamic that we want. So you're in charge, or it's your job to play and it's my job to clean, or sometimes accidents happen and it's my job to clean up. Those are all things we would say there. And I don't know whether or not those were the words that you used or just what you wrote in the email, but just for everyone's sake, be really careful with saying things like you can do that, or you can't do that, or that's not neutral and it's not adherent. So just PSA on that one. Okay. So then he starts to clean it up. Of course he does, right? And then says, oh, I'm stupid. I took the rest of the paper towels. Now we're finally at the heart of what's going on. This kid has low self-esteem. And because he has such low self-esteem and such high levels of anxiety, he is consumed with doing, quote, the right thing. And any sense that he gets that he failed at something means he is a failure. It's not, oh, I failed. Oh, that didn't go how I wanted. Oops, that was a mistake. It's I am bad. I am a failure. I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. natural progression for a highly anxious, low self-esteem child. So he says, I'm stupid. I took the rest of the paper towels. All right. So then you said it caught me off guard to hear that I'm stupid. I'm wondering how to reflect content and feeling in these instances where children say negative things about themselves. All right. It's a struggle and it's real, but it is our job to stay neutral. We convey 5B with attitudes, which are, shout them out. Yes, thank you. I'm here. I hear you. I understand. I care and I delight in you. However, there are 3 things that we do not convey, even when we convey with the B with attitudes. And one of them is, I will not solve your problems. So this is not a moment where we're trying to solve the problem for him. The problem is that he feels really crappy about himself and he's blaming himself for something, and his self-dialogue is really pretty nasty. And we want to swoop in and say, that's not true. And no, okay, that's not our job. So in that moment, we say, you used up the rest of the paper towels and you think that you're stupid because there aren't any more. And that's all we say. And it's hard, y'all. But here's why we don't go, but we sit in the pocket of the feeling. We reflect the feeling. And we wait for the child to regulate and get themselves out of that situation. That is ownership. That is responsibility. That is regulation. That is control. If they sit in it long enough and no one rescues them, they figure out how to get themselves out of it. They start to say more positive things about themselves. They start to believe in themselves more. They start to problem solve more. They start to figure things out. Why? Because no one's going to do it for them. So we say, oh, you realized you used the rest of those paper towels and you feel stupid for using so many. And we just wait. And we sit there, as awkward and awful and uncomfortable as it is. We sit there. Why? Because over time, the child's going to go, well, that's all right. You can always get more. And we do internal backflips. Even though on the outside, we're very composed and calm. We're doing internal backflips. Why? Because the child said, whatever, no big deal. I'm not stupid. Who cares? There's more paper towels. And that's the moment where we know that the child has grown. So we do not swoop in and rescue. It's really, really hard not to do, but it is necessary because that is how the child learns. All right. And I agree with you, Anna. You said it's hard for the kids to realize that your room is different, and that will take time. But if you stay fully adherent and you constantly remind them and return responsibility and give them all of the autonomy, they will figure out that there's a special nature to the playroom. And that's what we want. That's true in any environment. A kid comes into a child-centered playroom and they know that it's different and they know that it's special. And that's the goal. So we adhere so that the child constantly feels that sense of permissiveness that the child-centered playroom affords. Anna from Virginia, thank you so much for the email. I really appreciate it. If you would like to send me an email or have me answer a question, please email me, Brenna at thekidcounselor.com. Or if you're in the States, you can call 813-812-5525 and leave a message, and I'll answer your question from the voicemail. All right, y'all. I love you. Happy New Year. We'll talk again soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Play Therapy Podcast with Dr. Brenna Hicks. For more episodes and resources, please go to www.playtherapypodcast.com.